Well, most of you know that on August 21st, she went into the hospital for what she called her procedure. She also, most of you found out later, was she got her aortic valve replaced. That morning, quite a few people showed up at the hospital to wish her well. And she went into the surgery, and Steve stayed there with me all day. And 6 hours sitting in the waiting room isn't a whole lot of fun. But she came out of that surgery just fine. And then over the next couple of days, everything was okay until that following Tuesday. Started having some problems breathing and a few other things. And they took her back down to ICU, and then they wound up doing surgery again that night when they figured out what the problem was. That was about 9 o'clock at night, 9 to 11, a couple more hours. That next day, Wednesday, I was in ICU and Roger was there. And they had to keep hauling in more IV poles and stuff because they had more machines hooked up to her than they had equipment in there. And when they had about everything they had hooked up, and the doctors were in there talking to us, one doctor finally looked at Roger and said, "We've done everything we can. It's up to you." That day her mom showed up too. And then that night, I was really surprised because when we came out of the ICU out to the waiting room, the church was showing up. And that night we had a service, a prayer circle. And I don't know, 30, 40 people. We filled up that whole waiting room. All these people gave up their time that night just to come and be and pray for you. And Janine's mom was here, and she never met a lot of people, and every time we talk to her, she talks about this church. She just loves you people, the fact that we found you. Anyway, for the next 8 weeks, I had nothing but prayers from everyone here, her mom's church, her brother's church. I'm not a good person at asking for things, and I had meals show up at home. I had my grass get shorter. I could really get used to that one. I'd like to thank whoever for that one because I never did really know. Anyway, 8 weeks after that night, on August 21st, she got out of the hospital. That was 2 Wednesdays ago. And I don't understand why she had to go through those problems. It's not our place to really know why things happen. But what I believe is that God led us to this church and to journey and gave us the support group to be able to get through it. And then she's here with me. And we had our 31st anniversary last Wednesday. We got to be together on this. I want you to know, although I was in that house alone for 2 months and I was tempted to turn to the dark side, I always put the toilet seat back down. Because I know the minute I did that once, I was going to be in trouble.
Well, I know that I owe a lot of you, not only from this church here, but from my mother's church and my brother's church. Because my brother, when I called him to let him know that I was going to be getting out of the hospital, Roger was actually waiting out in the hallway with his son to visit me. And he said, and I said, well, I'm going to have to cut this short because I've got a visitor. And he goes, who is it? And I said, it's my pastor. He goes, if it wasn't your pastor, I wouldn't let you go because you are my answer to prayer. And you need to let your pastor know that you are an answer to prayer. And I said, I'm pretty sure he already knows that. Our church has been praying for me as well. And he says, yeah, but what you don't understand is our prayer group at my church had not been meeting. And you brought us back together. And without you and the answer of the prayers that we gave for you, I think our church may have been in trouble. So he was very pleased at the outcome for that. But I do want to thank each and every one of you that prayed for me, because I know that without those prayers, I probably wouldn't be here today. And I know that probably sounds a little dramatic to some of you, but I also know that without my husband realizing that when I told him that I can't do this when it was time to walk, that he knew there was a problem, and he went and got help immediately. And I looked at him and I said, how did that let you know that there was a problem? He said, because you don't quit. He said, and you were giving up, and he said, I knew that there had to be a problem for you to be doing that. And things happened pretty fast after that. I do remember the ride down to the OR. I do remember a nurse that would not let me mess with the oxygen mask. And the reason for that is I thought the oxygen mask was actually making it harder to breathe. And she says, no, you have to leave it there, it's helping you. And I'm like, no, I can't breathe. And she says, leave it alone. And the doctor came in. I don't remember what he said, but I do know that he said something, and I remember calming down, and that was the last thing I remember until 6 weeks later. So, fortunately, I think for me, I slept through the worst of what everybody else went through because I wasn't aware of the machine. There are some people who said, I don't think you knew that I was there, that I actually remember seeing. I don't know if I had a way to let you know that I knew you were there, but there are some of you that I remember being there. So, those of you that came, if I didn't acknowledge you, there's a good chance I knew you were there. I just couldn't tell you. So, thank you again for all of your support.
If you ever want some interesting stories, ask her what she does remember, because she was in an alternate reality. She'll remember people being there, her mom and her friend Cinda, but they weren't here in Idaho Falls. They were in other states or other cities. Okay?
And we went for Chinese food. It was really good. In Washington State, no less.
Just the other thing is that Tuesday morning, everything was going well. I was getting ready to go to work. And I got outside, and I was getting ready to get on my bike to ride down to the bus stop, and I couldn't do it. I just went back in the house and waited until I could get up to the hospital, and then, now, 8 weeks later, get back out. And thank you all very much. I don't think I could ever say that enough. Thank you.
We're just going to pray. Just thank God for everything He did. God, I just thank you so much for Peter and Janene. I just thank you that they're here this morning. And it really is an answer to prayer. Because like Peter said, the doctor said there was nothing more that they could do. But you can do anything. And you have healed Janene and brought her back to us. And now we get to be here today. And all those prayers we asked that you would answer, you have answered them. And now we get to praise you and say you are a wonderful, great God. And we just want to thank you for all that you've done. In Jesus' name, amen.